Flames fans, it's time for Flames Unfiltered, your spot for Calgary Flames hockey talk.
Blackhawks go and beat the Flames. And it's the second night of a back-to-back. The Flames beat the Jets in a do or die. I can't really know. Good evening. Welcome to another edition of Flames Unfiltered, hosted by Burud and Kyle Lewis. And yeah, Kyle, how are you today?
Neutral. I mean, if
Neutral,
we're basing it
or
off
you-
of hockey, yeah. Like I'm
Cautiously optimistic. Is that still the word we're using? I don't
I
know.
want to be.
I know I am too. I'm fighting with myself.
I'm still so angry about the Blackhawks loss that I'm having a really hard time being, as optimistic as maybe some feel I should be.
That one sucks. But okay, here's the only way I can get that one through my mind is that we've had about 15 of those this year.
Only 15?
You know what I mean? If you think back, like there's an Anaheim game that makes me want to puke. There's two other Chicago games that make me want to puke.
Well, it might also be the case because you haven't been feeling well. That might also be why you want to puke. But
Speaking of that, I am going on Sunday will be 2 weeks. I don't even know how I get out of bed in the morning anymore. I don't know why I've been sick this long. I do know I am on medication now, so hopefully that finally kicks what I have. Bear with me. I know my voice doesn't sound like it normally does, and I don't feel worth a shit, to be honest with you. But
actually, you sound fine. It's really just the fact you told me that you have been sick.
It's not been cool. I don't like it.
No. So yeah, we do have lots to talk about though. So
we do.
Hang in there. Yeah. So actually, before we get rolling here, so today is game worn jersey.
Oh yeah.
As I attempt to inspire our mutual fans and the team, is a Robin Regeer game worn with the Atlanta Flames assistant captain. This one's from the 2010-2011 season. It's pretty beat up too, actually, and it's absolutely huge. It's like a 58 plus. So on my 165 frame, it's like I look like a flying squirrel.
I thought you were going to maybe have like a Lucic and say how. Oh, no, I'm not going there.
Are you making a joke about me buying a Lucic game worn jersey? Because I do not appreciate that.
Oh, geez.
If I ever considered it, might have been after that wicked wrister a couple games ago, but it was a fleeting moment in my head, I assure you.
The one time when I look back, the one moment where I was like pro Lucic was the Nashville game 2 years ago.
Oh yeah,
remember that game?
It was the background of my phone for a while.
Oh my god,
it really was just Matt Duchene getting obliterated. It was great.
It was the only time that I went to bed at night thinking, "Man, I'm glad he's on this team." Since then, get this guy. I don't know. I got a question for you. I'm watching a Wednesday night's game. Tuesday night I watched and I was junk. I could have cared less because I felt that bad. Wednesday night I felt pretty good watching the game. I did, and I was pretty excited for it actually. And there was a point though in the first period, and yeah, you might have to kick me off the show for thinking this, but I can't lie. There was a point in the middle of the first period where I was like, would this team just put me out of my misery?
I've thought that many, many times.
I think that wanted it to be done. I did. I kind of wanted it to be done. And then I thought to myself, wait a minute. The reason I watch hockey is to get entertained. And if we make the playoffs, if we don't, at least the last stretch here has been entertaining. Frustrating sometimes.
Well, that's what I was saying the other day. I'm trying to convince myself of is that, hey, at least we've been watching meaningful hockey, which conceivably we're doing into at least game 80.
Yeah. And honestly, I don't know what you think. I thought Wednesday night was a good hockey game, a really, really good hockey game. But it was entertaining hockey. It was great. It had everything.
Yeah, it just when an entertaining hockey game, is dictated by horrific house league level pickup hockey garbage giveaways, it's really a tough pill to swallow. By one player in particular who we've been very vocal about.
But that was on Tuesday, right? Wednesday.
Oh yeah, really? You know what, man? My mistake. It's tomorrow's Good Friday, so I'm really confused about my days right now. Yeah.
Well, Tuesday was a shit show. We're going to talk about that. I got a bone to pick.
I don't want to talk about that.
We have to because I'm pissed. I'm still fired. I'm still on fire.
You don't seem sick at all when you get mad.
Yeah. You want to know another thing I'm mad about? And Kyle, you're not going to understand this, but you got to hear me out on this. And I think you're going to agree with me that this is BS. The other night, after the game, was it Tuesday night or was it? No, it was last Saturday night. Last Saturday night after the Vancouver. We played Vancouver on Saturday, right?
Yes, we did.
I go to listen to the post-game show on Sportsnet Fan 960, which I like. I like it. I like listening to Pat. I think Pat's great. I think the call-in show's entertainingly stupid sometimes, but good. Okay?
Yep.
And I go click on my TuneIn radio to stream it. And it tells me that the stream you're trying to connect is not working. So I'm like, okay. So I go to the Sportsnet website, pull it up on there, and I get the same thing. And I'm like, well, they must be having technical difficulties. So Sunday, I thought, I just better check this out. Yeah, I got the same message. I thought, well, okay, something happened. They're going to fix it Monday morning. No one's working. All right. Monday comes, nothing. I go into my truck Monday night to leave work, and I thought, I'll see what they're talking about on Flames Talk. I punch it up on my truck, and it says on there that I am blacked out. How do you get blacked out on the radio?
Okay, so I didn't know where you're going with this when you said I wasn't going to understand, because as far as blackouts go, I completely understand, because on the East Coast...
On a television aspect, you
exactly, and that's where I'm going with this. Yeah, I have to deal with that every year.
We're blocking out audio now? Are you shitting me? So now I
didn't know that was a thing.
I have to go to my phone. I have to click onto the VPN, pretend I'm in Canada to listen to a radio show? Like, is this some sort of new government regulation in Canada or something? I don't get it.
I was not aware of it. Now, I haven't attempted to listen to the show recently, so that, it could be a problem on the East Coast for a Canadian like myself anyway. So I'll have to check that out. It's just going to infuriate me because I have a feeling I'll have the same problem. I
don't think you will. I think it's going to be fine in Canada, but I don't know. I could be wrong. I'm jumping.
I don't know. The only games I should say we get for Canadian teams on television typically are the Ottawa Senators, which I can't even begin to tell you how little people around here generally care about the Ottawa Senators. They're all Toronto, Montreal, or Boston fans. We do get a lot of Bruins games, but the fact that Montreal and Toronto are so close to us and they're so often blocked out is absolutely absurd.
If the NHL is really truly worried about getting their product into the hands of the fans, they got to quit this blackout stuff. They've got.
It's unbelievable. And when you think about it, I mean, like if you're a fan from out of market, like both of us are, we're exactly the kind of people that you want to attract, right? If you want us to go to your city and spend money in your city and spend money on the team and buy all the merch,
and we do.
Well, that's it. But the thing is the way that the NHL conducts itself and whatever other, it reminds me of Rocky or those Bill Wirtz when he owned the Blackhawks. Yeah.
That's why everybody went to the Wolves games back then.
Yeah, and for those who don't know, because I'm sure there's some listeners who don't, this is still mind-blowing to me, but Bill Wirtz's theory was that if you put games on local television, it would discourage fans from actually going to the game, which is the dumbest theory about pro sports viewership I've ever heard of in my life.
The only thing that discourages fans from going to games in your market is shitty teams and expensive tickets. Those are the only two things that deter fans from going.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
And if you want to add Chicago, if you want to rip on them, the fact that you have a 50-50 chance of getting shot on the way to the United Center. I don't know if you've ever been there, but it's in the worst area I've ever been in my entire life.
I've heard that.
In the worst city I've been in my entire life. I don't know. I don't know. I find it funny that we're worried about going to Australia for games, but we can't even get games on TV to the people in our countries. Yeah,
that's ridiculous. So anyway, before we go on too long about that, we should get to the show's agenda.
Let's go. 3 games to recap. All of them we're going to talk pretty in detail about. We'll talk about the troubles reemerge for the team in a loss to Chicago. Kadri's attitude, Markstrom struggles reared their ugly head in that game. And then some Flames news to discuss. Talk a little bit about some guys coming back from injuries. So that's good news. And then we'll discuss how in the world this team can still make the playoffs and if it's still possible and what they need to do to make that happen. All that on Flames Unfiltered. All right, Kyle. Anaheim comes to town. Sunday. This is Sunday night. Yeah. I'm all messed up. What the hell was I talking about Vancouver on Saturday? That was on Friday.
That's right. See, I thought I was a little messed up here. Anyway, as long as we know the results, we'll be okay.
Well, the result was in the favor of the Flames, 5-4, barely.
Yeah.
I had to come from behind again, which scares the living crap out of both of us because that doesn't happen very often. But
no, lately it seems to.
Okay. Markstrom stinks it up in the first period, right?
Big time.
And I thought to myself, "Do you change? Did we text each other this, or am I dreaming?"
We sure did. No, we sure did.
We did. And sure shit, we were right for once. Daryl Sutter goes and puts in Dan Vladar. And I don't know, Flames rattle off 3 straight and get a lead. Give it back, but get a lead.
Well, it did what it was intended to do, or at least, right?
It did. And Markstrom was junk. And why not? He was. And why not change what's not working, right? And our team was flat as a pancake. How this team can be flat in any of these games is beyond me, but they were.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
I know you loved it. Late or in mid-third, Milan Lucic scores a game-tying goal. And it was a good goal. It really, really was.
That's probably the best goal I've seen him score as a Flame. Now, I don't remember all of them, which you'd think I would because there's only 20 of them. But
it was a good one.
It was a great shot. It was a really great shot. Absolutely.
And timely, too. I mean, and it ties the game. And I don't know. And one thing I want to say about Lucic, I'm really tough on him. I'm really hard on him. But it's not necessarily his fault that Sutter keeps putting him out in these situations.
Not at all.
Right? And it's not Lewis's fault that he's getting more ice time in the third period than Jonathan Huberdeau is. But it's not their fault. They're not jumping the boards. I don't know. Maybe I should take it easy on him and maybe he'll play better. But I did laugh a little bit when he hit Zegras and Zegras laughed.
Yeah.
Did you not think that was funny?
Oh, that was great. I loved it.
Somebody tweeted, I can't remember who it was. Somebody tweeted and said, when your tough guy's getting laughed at for being physical, he's not a tough guy anymore.
Yeah, true.
I thought that was pretty damn fitting. So
I just want to point out, by the way, too, that I was surprisingly wrong about Lucic. He actually had 2 seasons, last season, the season before, of 10 goals each.
He scored 8 of them in the first 10 games last year. Remember that?
Yeah. So as a Flame, he actually has 35 career goals across 4 seasons. That's
You've been watching him for 4 years, Kyle.
Yeah, 1920 to the present day.
I swear to God, if I have to watch him next year, I'm gonna.
Yeah, you said that last night, and I want to be careful because I'm scared we might accidentally manifest that. I honestly, on a league minimum deal, I wouldn't mind keeping him necessarily if I could trust he'd be used sparingly and he wouldn't get in the way of the guys who should be in the lineup. But I do not trust that with any coach with this team ever.
No, that's not what's going to happen. I guarantee that's not what's going to happen. He's going to
take
a spot away from somebody that needs it and deserves it.
Jacob Peltier.
Yes.
Connor Zary.
Yes.
Coronado. we can keep going. Yeah. Okay. So
big comeback though. Second in a row, 4th win in a row. Stone comes back from injury. Rocket shot, game winner. You
did we not? Yeah. I should have wore the Stone jersey today, but you mentioned this before we went on today too, like how the defensemen have performed so admirably that Stone scores a huge game-winning goal and comes into the lineup. Kind of speaks to the depth that they've been showing off lately, and because he hadn't played since then. It's kind of it's just kind of weird to me, Like you couldn't really ask for a better first game back than that, can you?
He was awesome. He did. Was there one point? Okay, here's why I look about your third pairing defense. If I don't notice you, hell yeah, that was a good night.
Generally, yeah.
Right? I didn't notice him the whole game. He didn't screw up, didn't do anything, but I noticed him offensively.
You know what the highlight was, though? The highlight of the night was his post-game presser.
I didn't see it.
Oh, you got to watch it. It was so funny. It was so funny. They're talking about, they asked him a few different things and about, you know, how many posts the Flames have hit this year. He's like, well, not mine. You know, mine usually get blocked or miss the net.
He's untrue. He hits the net more than any guy in this team.
Which is hilarious. Yeah, he hits the net all the time. I remember being in a game last year, game 2 against Edmonton in the playoffs, and he took a slap shot and got blocked. He's like, okay, so he just rips it again and scores. Like,
the guy hits the net. I mean, he's got a rocket. It's about a foot off the ice every time. It's never a blaster that's high. It's right where it's going to get tipped. It's right where it's going to beat a goalie right over the pad. I love his shot.
You know what we need to do?
What?
You know what we need to do? We've talked about this before. We are going to have some guests in the show, and we've talked about a few of them, but amongst ourselves, we need to get Michael Stone on this show.
We do this summer. Yeah. We need to figure a way to do that.
We're going to make that happen.
We are.
Because, you know, whether he resigns or not, and if past has taught us anything, he's getting a league minimum deal for 1 year on the eve of training camp.
And he doesn't want to go any other than here, so that's great.
Yeah. Yeah, he needs to know how much we appreciate him. So I'm going to put the Michael Stone talk to rest for now, but just be saying we need to make that happen. So stay tuned. We will make that happen.
The bad news. Let's talk the bad news now. Chicago at Calgary. Markstrom in goal.
Blech.
Where do we go with this? What do you want to talk about?
I mean, let's get the worst part of the way. And I'll say my piece and I'll let you chime in because you've actually been beating this drum a lot harder than I have in terms of Mr. 91 and his, like he let's just call it space, but he cost the team this game. The Flames were not great. Markstrom was not, standing on his head or anything. I didn't find he was that good, but he would have been good enough had it not been for Kadri's unbelievably lazy, pathetic play. He cost the team 2 points, and the fact, and I remember you being fired up about this in the aftermath, and I was as well, but you kind of pointed it out. He took zero responsibility, seemingly, post-game.
Yeah.
Like zero. And this is a guy who makes big money. He's expected to be a leader on this team, one of their top scoring forwards. And I'm not going to say when, because there's still hope. We'll get to that as well, of course, if we miss the playoffs. I look at that Chicago game largely because it's one of the few games where you can solely blame that loss on one player in my mind. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to you to give your thoughts.
When we signed Nazem Kadri, I guess I was happy. I mean, I think that's what a fan does. I think you're just happy of the hope that it could be great.
Well, I hated him as a player, but that's what you want. Yeah, Brad Marchand type. You got to hate that guy on another team. But I was like you.
He doesn't even play like that, though. He doesn't even play like that. Nobody in the league hates him or doesn't freaking do anything. Teams don't hate guys that are lazy. They don't. They don't freaking hate. Why do they hate it? Why would you hate a lazy guy?
Well, they hated him in St. Louis because he was doing stuff, right?
And okay, so I'm so frustrated with this. And here's why. We're in a do or die game, or somewhat of a do or die game with Chicago. At home, in front of your fans.
Yeah.
And it's not the turnover aspect. Turnovers happen. There isn't a guy on our roster that hasn't had turnovers this year, right? And some bad ones. Michael Backlund comes to mind. Just a bad timely, I'm talking timing wise. There's bad turnovers. Hannafin's heads. The list goes on and on and on. Okay. Mm-hmm. Well, Kadri has 2. He freaking had one last night too, but nobody's talking about that now because we won, right? Well, because
it didn't lead directly to a goal. These other two were
flagrantly humongous save though that had to be made, right?
Oh yeah, yeah,
right.
Yeah, absolutely.
Here's the problem that I have with this. Now, I bitched a couple weeks ago on the show about people breaking sticks and frustration and stuff like that. Okay, I'm not asking you to put a pout fest on, but you at least got to look like you care a little bit when you screw up, right? A little bit.
You know what? I hung my goaltender out to dry and pick up hockey last week, and it's just a bunch of dudes, It's basically shinny, and I got to the bench and I smashed my stick, and it's just pickup. You shouldn't take it too seriously, but I was mad because it was my fault, and I showed more emotion in the most meaningless hockey anyone's ever witnessed. Than he did.
My mind. We have we have prospects sitting in the press box.
One of whom
would not. Okay, he can make mistakes, but he isn't going to make a mistake over lack of effort. Lack of effort mistakes and lack of effort penalties piss me the hell off. And that's what I'm getting from Nazem Kadri lately. It's just, I don't give a shit attitude, this self-entitlement that, oh, I won my cup. I'm a superstar now. And everybody's got to listen to me. And I got a feeling, and I don't have any idea. I'm not in the locker room, but if I had to put money on it, that guy is hell-bent on making Sutter's life hell, and that he thinks that he's the king shit now because he got ran out of Toronto and then he won a cup in Colorado, and they didn't want to re-sign him. Well, they had money issues that involved that also. But you know what? I've seen a lot of teams that had money issues still figure out ways to re-sign guys they know they can't live without. Yeah. I haven't heard one person in Colorado this year say, boy, if we had Nazem Kadri, would that be great? No, they're laughing now watching them in Calgary go half-ass and make bad plays, and then go in the presser after and say the ice was getting a little chippy at the end of the period. You freaking blame this on the ice?
Yeah,
We as a Flames fan group, we're talking about, people were saying they wanted him 10 games in, wanted him to be captain of this team. And we have a captain blaming freaking shitty ice on 2 turnovers that cost a game. No, captains stand up and say, that's on me. I'm sorry. I don't know how or what I was thinking at the moment. And I'm going to take the necessary changes to make sure it doesn't happen again. Nope. We don't get that from me.
It was I don't think I can sum it up any better than you just did.
It's crazy to me. It's crazy.
Well, it's all, but again, and this is where I take issue with the coaching aspect of it, is that this double standard. Jacob Pelche had a rough game against the LA Kings, hasn't been back in since.
Kadri's right back out there.
Yeah, and that's not right. And that, yeah.
And we saw the last night too. Lucic takes a dumb penalty. We saw Lewis take a dumb penalty last night. Boom, they're right back out there. And everybody's going to take a bad penalty. I get this. This isn't bantams where you got to, like, peewees, you got to send messages. But, like, come on, guys. Come on. This is a National Hockey League. You want to know a positive, though, on the Chicago game?
I thought I'd have to throw a positive out there for a change, but you go ahead. What do you got?
I thought Hanifin was more active offensively, and I love it when he's active offensively because he's so much better.
Oh, yeah, he's never going to be a defensive stalwart, right? He's capable, but, yeah, he's at his best when he's joining the rush and, jumping into the play. I get maybe this is the time to talk about it because you just, maybe think of it even more. How good has Troy Stecher been?
Well, is there a time when you're out there or when he's on the ice that you're like worried? Because I'm not.
No, there's lots of times where I think we're going to do something good when he's on the ice.
Mm-hmm.
And the way that he just, for his size or lack thereof, the way he just forces the puck forward, like when he did it along the boards, I think it was in the Winnipeg game last night, if I remember right. Like he's just a ball of energy, and like he skates his tail off, and he just, man, he's been. They have to re-sign this guy. They really do.
I'm one of those that's real hesitant lately after some of the things I've watched about quickly re-signing somebody, but Stecher and Walker Duehr are 2 people that I feel real comfortable with it.
Well, I'm going to break it down into 2 categories of player. Okay. So the 2 best pairs. So the pairs of the guys that have been here for a little while, Backlund and Toffoli, have been fantastic. Backlund, and I tweeted this, and I was rushing to tweet it because I wanted to be one of the first ones to point out new career high in points at 54. And his total of 53 was like 5 years ago. So it's pretty significant. And Tyler Toffoli, what more can we say about him? He has been our best forward in the second half, and the single biggest reason this team is still has a chance of making the playoffs. So those are the 2 guys that have been around that have been really, really good. The 2 guys that are newer that have been unbelievable are Walker Duehr and Troy Stecher.
Yep. And, I don't know if I ever will think that Walker Duehr is going to be like a guy that lights it up. But boy, does he create stuff, doesn't he?
I get the feeling he's going to finish his career with a couple of 20-goal seasons to his credit.
Yeah.
Well, he works so hard.
Protects the puck so well.
Yeah, he's he's like a more I've said this before, but he's like a more offensively inclined Garnet Hathaway, and he's a bit of a better skater too.
Bigger.
Yeah, he's really, really good. I don't see how he comes out of the lineup. I should say at this point, I don't see how he's not a regular next season.
I would pencil him in for sure.
If anything, he will likely be on the third line, not the fourth.
We got to sign him though, don't we?
Yep.
Look, I'm pulling it up here. I think we have to sign him. I think he's a restricted free agent, so he's restricted at least.
Well, she won't cost a lot just yet, at least.
What would you say? What would you think if I said 3 years, 1.2 each year?
Absolutely, all day long.
Yeah, that's what I think.
All day long.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, he's from South Dakota. That's right.
Yeah, first ever.
Huh. I forgot that. Huh, very cool. Yeah, he's an absolute shoe-in. Anyway, we're starting to get off track a little bit. I don't think we've really got to the Winnipeg game yet.
Let's do it. Let's talk the Winnipeg game last night. Pretty much a do or die. I mean, as much as if the Flames lose this game, they're done.
Because any other domino falling in any direction essentially would mean they'd be mathematically out. So yeah, they had to win that game, and they had to win that game in regulation,
which is good. Jacob Markstrom gets the start on a second night of a back-to-back with travel. Now, how did you feel about that?
Well, I don't agree with the whole history of, last time I did it, it went really well. But it's basically what Sutter said. I didn't like that. I'm like, okay, so, that'll happen on occasion. I didn't think, I honestly, I would have gone with Vladar. I'm glad that he went with Markstrom and he was right. But
I'm glad he was right.
Yeah, I based on the play of Dustin Wolf and the Markstrom being the contract he has and everything, Vladar just feels really forgotten, and I feel like he might wind up somewhere else this summer. In fact, I think there's a very high probability he winds up somewhere else this summer, and we all just kind of forget how good he was at times, and then he could be a really good goalie somewhere else.
I think he's a really good goalie. I do. I think he's a really good goalie, and I probably him last night, but
David Rittich went like, what was David Rittich in 18-19? He was like 25-9 or something.
Yeah, but don't compare him because David Rittich wasn't making saves. Like, do you think he was? I don't.
Yeah, there was certainly games where he was. I just think that it's so hard to know a goaltender's ceiling, and Rittich obviously is a backup, and if he gets hot at times, can be kind of a 1B for short stretches. But
he can be bad at.
Oh yeah, I don't know what Vladar's. I don't know. Point is, I don't know what's going to become of him, but he kind of feels like the forgotten dude now. And based on Markstrom's play last night, you can kind of understand why. Like Markstrom last night was fantastic.
You know what I noticed differently about Markstrom's game last night? And I'm not a goalie, and I never have been, and I don't claim to be a goalie expert at all. But I do know one thing by all the hockey I've watched over my lifetime. When he's aggressive to the shot and moving out, squaring up and moving towards the shooter, he is so much better than when he's sitting back on his freaking.
Well, he's a big goaltender, and he needs to use that size, right?
He was aggressive last night. He was aggressively attacking the shots and thus making the saves.
It's funny. I'd almost liken it to when people talk about like forechecking. Forechecking doesn't mean you're out there running everybody over.
No,
it means you're pressuring the opposition to get them to cough the puck up. Checking down low, that kind of stuff. And to me, Markstrom being aggressive means the same kind of thing. It involves so many different things. So him being aggressive is him being at the top of his crease, cutting off the angles. Him being aggressive, despite the fact he got a penalty, is spraying an opposing player with a water bottle.
How do you call that a penalty? But whatever.
Well, it's kind of dumb. Like it's people do that. Like one of the Flames could have been sprayed on the bench by a teammate, right? Like who cares?
Let's talk about this. Let's talk about that penalty. So the Flames score. And Dubois skates all the way down to the other end to start lipping at Markstrom, right?
Yeah.
All the way down to the other end. The Flames are cheering and changing. A scrum ensues. And because we're in the middle of a change, after the whistle, when play's not going, we get an extra penalty for having an extra guy on the ice. Not like somebody jumped over the boards to get into the scrum.
Yeah. Yeah. You were fired up last night. You were texting me when that happened.
So you know what I do then every time if I'm coach? Right when I start seeing the other team change, I'm going down and starting something with their goalie. I'm starting to scrum. I'm going to go push the goalie, and then I get a power play. It doesn't make any sense, though, does it?
No, but it doesn't, and this points to the thing that every fan base in the league has rightfully been screaming, is that the NHL has absolutely no idea what their own rules are, and moreover, there is absolutely no accountability whatsoever for their officials.
I couldn't believe when they made that call last night. I couldn't believe it. I thought, well, shit, every time that we score, why don't we go down and push on Hellebuck, create a scrum down there? Well, wait, watch for Winnipeg. As soon as an extra guy comes out, let's go push Hellebuck and start a scrum. Yeah, they got an extra guy out there. I got a power play now, right?
Yeah, if we really start going down this rabbit hole of NHL officiating, we're going to be here all night, because I am so sick of coaches being fined for speaking the truth. I am sick of dumb penalties. I'm sick of games being decided by stupid calls, by inept officials. Now, people make mistakes. I make mistakes at work virtually every day, but I have to learn from it.
And we're held accountable
for it. Absolutely. And NHL officials have zero accountability. And my God, do I hope that changes.
So this team, speaking of penalties and power plays and stuff, this Flames get 6 power play opportunities last night, failed to score on any of them, and still win the game.
Yeah. Hey, it was like what was the Kings power play percentage? You're the one that cup with Darryl Sutter's coach. It was like 8%. Their power play one year was just horrific.
Well, last night it looked like they were.
Oh,
look at unit. Holy shit. Oh. Is Richie really the answer on a power play?
For God's, like Walker Dewar is more of an answer. Michael Stone as a point option makes more sense in a power play. There are all kinds of things that make so much more sense than ever putting Nick Ritchie in a power play.
I don't know. Last night's power play was pathetic, and you were pissed because you were tweeting or texting me, and it was bad.
Now, no, I don't know what top of the power play anymore because it just makes me sick. But I do want to point out, and I mentioned this to you last night as well, the pass from Huberdeau to Zadorov, and also the shot from Zadorov. That was a bullet.
And the pass was great. Shot, everything.
But see, that I thought, this is how good Jonathan Huberdeau can be. I'm thinking the whole time he's going to pass the middle of the ice. I'm thinking, that pass probably won't get through, or might get a weak shot away or whatever. He's 3 steps ahead of me in his thinking. He knows Zadorov is jumping in. He's holding on to that puck until Zadorov is wide open. That is and somebody tweeted last night, and forgive me because I forget who it was, but someone tweeted last night, Jonathan Huberdeau is going to be damn good next year, and I think they're right. I think he goes back to 75 points plus next season. I
do too. I do too. I wish I felt that way about Kadri, but I do about Huberdeau.
Yeah. What a beautiful pass. What a confident, right on the tape, perfect pass.
Another beautiful goal last night. Mangiapane's from great pass from Backlund. That was a beauty too.
Mm-hmm.
Really good goals.
Backlund's really good at drawing players to him. Yep. But he's so good at holding on to the puck that you think you're going to, disrupt what he's trying to do or take the puck off of him. And a lot of times you're not. Like, I saw something on Twitter today about the Selke conversation with Patrice Bergeron, of course, at the top of the list, and Backlund right there. And I don't know that you can make a better case for any other player than Michael Backlund with a career high in points.
He won't win.
Set plus 17 or 18 on a team full of minus players. Or a lot of minus players at least, yeah. And I don't think he will either, but I think if it was the season where he really deserved it, he'd be hard-pressed to pick anybody else.
I couldn't agree more. I think it's a shame he's not going to win it.
Yeah. You know what it reminds me of is all the years that Craig Conroy was right up there for the Selke, and I don't think he ever won it. He certainly didn't in Calgary.
No, he didn't.
And who was the perpetual winner then? Oh, that's going to drive me nuts. I'm going to look that up. Because there was somebody at the time. Oh, Mike Pekka. Mike Pekka was one of the guys that was always in the way of Craig Conroy winning a Selke. And that's now that I'm talking about it and thinking about it, that's a weird trophy. Because the same dudes always seem to win it. There's always like that one perennial front runner, which I guess you could say for the Hart Trophy. But
the trophies piss me off.
Yeah, because the Norris goes to the highest.
Norris is a joke because Erik Karlsson's a junk ass defenseman.
Yeah, somebody was talking about that the other day too, and I had quite a laugh because they're absolutely right. Actually, it was during the Flames broadcast. Oh man, who was Rick Ball doing it with that night? Greg Millen.
Yeah.
And did you hear that?
You told me. You pointed it out.
Yeah, Greg Millen was, I wouldn't say running him down, but he was giving a very thorough, clear opinion of Erik Karlsson is not a good defenseman. All the respect in the world for the ton of points he's put up. And that's not easy to do, obviously. But he is not good at all defensively. And I always think back to this, and I think it was 2003, the only time I ever saw a trophy awarded to a player who actually really deserved it, and it doesn't fit the typical mold of the highest scoring whoever, was Barrett Jackman winning the Calder, I think in 03.
No.
And I think he finished the year, and I'm going to look this up, I think he had 3 goals and 15 assists. And he won the Calder as a defenseman. We will never see that again.
No.
You know, like the jersey I'm wearing, a guy like Robin Regeer. He was never even close to a Norris Trophy. And not to suggest he was ever near like one of the best defensemen in the league. Well, he kind of was in terms of being shut down.
He was like our Chris Tanev now.
Yeah, and he was an Olympian for a terrible 2006 Team Canada. But anyway, now I'm just rambling.
Okay. One other thing I noticed in the Winnipeg game is this. Winnipeg drew us in physically, right? With scrums and
Big time.
Right? Why do I feel like the Flames play better when they're involved in a scrum-filled game?
Because they're a big team.
They do.
Oh, damn it. I was so close. 3 goals and 16 assists for now. I was off by 1 point for a stat 20 years ago.
Good. That's pretty good. It's pretty good.
I'm going to go buy a lotto ticket for tonight. But yeah, I think that guys like Sidorov, guys like Dewar, guys like ideally Kadri, that we've seen at times, mostly in other teams, those guys need to almost be baited into a heavy, physical, testy kind of game, right?
Yep.
Trevor Lewis, I think you could fit into that as well. He's pretty tough.
I just feel like the more engaged we are physically, the better our results seem to be.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Injuries, Stone's back, Tanev's back. I think both of them looked.
Oh, speaking of Tanev, what a beautiful hit the other night. That open ice hit. Oh,
that was a really, really good hit.
Hook that to my veins. I love that stuff.
Really good.
Yeah.
So what do the Flames got to do to get in the playoffs, Kyle?
Well,
because where it stands, I'll give the rundown so the listeners know where we're at. As it stands, we're recording this on a Thursday night. Kyle and I don't know what day of the week it is this week. It's been one of those.
Yep.
Flames don't play tonight. Winnipeg doesn't play tonight. Nashville plays Carolina. Seattle plays Arizona. Seattle's in, so don't worry about them. All they have to do is get a point tonight, and Seattle's clinched.
Yeah.
So Calgary sits at 89. Winnipeg sits at 89 and holds the tiebreaker. Nashville sits at 86, but holds 1 game in hand.
Correct.
No, they don't hold.
They don't hold Flames, don't they? Just
a game in hand on the Flames. Oh, tonight's game. They have 2 games in hand on the Flames and 1 game in hand on the Jets. Okay. Here's Calgary's remaining schedule. At Vancouver, home to Nashville, home to San Jose, ending their season on Wednesday the 12th. Winnipeg's is at home to Nashville, at home to San Jose, a back-to-back the next day in Minnesota, and then they end their season on Thursday the 13th in Colorado. Nashville plays tonight, which is Thursday, at home to Carolina. Then they go to Winnipeg, to Calgary, which will determine their season, and then play a makeup game Thursday and Friday back-to-back at home, Minnesota, Colorado.
Well, regardless of what that all says, I think the Flames have to go 3-0 to finish the season.
I think we can do it if we get 5 points.
I think we're going to need all 6. You could be right. I mean, we're done with 1 point here, but that at least has to be the mentality of another.
You think that Winnipeg's going to win 3 of their 4?
I think there's a very good chance of it.
I do too.
I see them going 2-1-1.
Okay, so that would give them 4 or 5 points. So that gives them 94.
Yeah.
And then if we get 5 points, we're at 94 and we lose the tiebreaker.
Or we get 6 points by going 3-0.
By going 3-0.
So
Again, three teams. But 3 teams we could easily lose to, too.
Well, based on the fact they lost 3 games to Chicago this year. But I think I just don't. I mean, there's been so many games, the Anaheim games we mentioned, the Chicago games, so many games the Flames had to win and they failed to win, that if they don't go 3-0, they shouldn't be in the playoffs. Quite frankly,
I think
they haven't got hot all year. They finally had a 4-game winning streak, right? Like,
yeah, but and I'm not tooting the horn of this Flames team because they've been anything but consistent. But if you look at their games that they've played, their last 15, I mean, we've gotten points in, I think, 10 or 11 of 15.
Yep.
It's not horrendous. I mean,
no, it's pretty good. It's not, doesn't do as much as for you as it should when you've been so bad all year, right? Apart from, when the start of the season.
It seems like the losses have been so magnified. Remember the 6-5 loss to Dallas last month? Yeah. Remember oh gosh, like there's 2 points right there that night.
Well, look at all the 1-goal losses just in general. You can't lose that many games with 1 goal in the NHL. You just can't.
No.
What was it? 20, 23, 24?
Yeah.
I don't know. It's a massive number.
Yes, it's a massive number.
Take 3 of those points right now, and this conversation is completely different.
Yep. Totally different.
Like, isn't that insane? Like, that makes no sense. How do you lose that many close games? It's kind of rhetorical, but kind of like, Brad, fucking tell me how, because I don't get it.
I
just don't understand.
I don't know if I can help you on this one. I mean,
well,
look at this. The Calgary has 15 loser points,
Yeah.
Winnipeg has 3.
Yeah.
Put that into perspective.
Perspective says it's a difference of 12 points, Brad. Like, that's nuts.
I don't know.
You win a handful of those games by, putting it off a teammate's ass, and you're a 100-point hockey team. Like, it just makes no sense at all.
No, we win the Pacific.
Yeah. Like,
and here's another stat that even blows your mind more. We've got 15 loser points with a sub 900 goaltending team.
That is wild. Wild.
We still might make the playoffs with a sub 900 goaltending crew.
And it's tandem crew, not just one guy. They've both been terrible.
Most
of the year.
People have bitched all year about offensive productivity and stuff like that. I don't think it has anything to do with that. I think it quite honestly boils down to we needed saves and we didn't get them.
That was a lot of bad goals on these guys this year. It's just I don't know. I feel like one of the reasons we have so many loser points is because we really sorely missed Johnny Gaudreau's creativity in overtime. That guy thrived 3-on-3. But any combination of a couple more saves, a couple more bounces, a few less crossbars, and we're like, yeah, we're going to the playoffs. Who are we playing?
If we don't let in, I think 5 or 6 now, first shots.
Yeah.
How many more points do we have?
I don't want to talk about this anymore.
I think we better move on to the next section, and that is previewing what still lies ahead in the remainder of the season. Back in one moment. Get all your Flames Unfiltered podcasts, team news, team updates, and highlights at flamesunfiltered.com. All right, Kyle. 3 games remaining in our season. It starts
3 games.
That's it.
You know the weather's getting warm when?
3 games. Calgary in Vancouver Saturday night. Vancouver not been great lately, but they've lost 2 in a row, but have got points in 7 of the 10. I think we're going to see a very difficult Vancouver team on Saturday night. I do. They always play Calgary hard. I think it's I think it'll be a good game.
I think so too. That's the game that worries me the most, though, to finish the year. You'd think it'd be the Nashville game, but nope.
I feel more comfortable with the Nashville game. They get Nashville on Monday night, and I think that is 2 days after Nashville has to play Winnipeg. So that'll be interesting to see how that goes. And Nashville's fighting for their playoff lives, just like the Flames. So we're going to see a good opponent there. We've lost to them twice this year, 4-1 and 2-1. We have not been good against Nashville.
No, not at all.
The season rounds out to this Wednesday at the Dome. San Jose comes to town. San Jose has been god-awful. 7th in the Pacific. 4th meeting. Flames have won all three. 5-2, 7-3, 5-3. How much fear is it that the 2 points in this determine us getting into the playoffs?
I would love it. If we're going to go out.
You feel confident against the Sharks?
Well, for the most part, but I mean, more than anything, I remember years ago, and I don't know why I remember this. I think it was 2002 when the Canucks beat someone on the last day of the season, or had to get a point, and they got smoked by Detroit. I think that's here that Nick Lidstrom shot that puck through Dan Cloutier. But the Canucks were scrapping all year, and they made it in the playoffs the last day of the season. It was just so cool. I'd love to see a scenario where Calgary could conceivably pull that off, because realistically, it could be the closest into a playoff game we get. Yeah. I would love to see it come to that night, because you imagine let's go back to last year when they beat Dallas in Game 7. It's 2 a.m. here, and I'm losing my mind. And I'm talking to a buddy of mine who's a relative of Johnny Gaudreau's, and he's losing his mind. It was just so cool, right? To have if I can call you that night whenever that game's over and Calgary wins and they're in the playoffs, I'll be going to work hungover. It's Wednesday. I don't care. I'll be going to work hungover.
It's going to be great. But here's the problem that we're going to probably have. Even if that does happen, that's going to be on Wednesday night. We're probably going to, unless Winnipeg and, we don't want Winnipeg taking our business over Nashville, but if we take care of Nashville and Carolina helps us out tonight, I don't want to have to come down to us sitting and watching to make sure Winnipeg loses to Colorado on Thursday night and then praying to God that, Minnesota and Colorado beat Nashville Thursday. I don't want to have to sit there.
I don't want to have to give a shit what other teams do.
Me either, but we're going to have to give a shit.
I know. But that's the worst. That's the worst position to be in. It's just because I'm not invested in them. And then I don't know. It's just what am I going to do? Go out and buy an Avalanche jersey for a day? I whatever. I just don't care.
I feel like when I watch out of town games, when it matters, the other night I turned the Jets Devils game on because it mattered, right?
Yeah. How'd that work out for you?
I just turned the damn thing off. I quit. I'm not watching those games. Didn't work very well for me.
Oh yeah. That was a nightmare. It's a nightmare. We do have a couple quick notes though. I have a question for you.
All right.
At this point, do you think Matthew Coronado plays an NHL game this season?
I don't want him to, because that means we're not in this anymore.
No, that's what we said last time, right?
Do I think he will? No, I don't. I don't think he will.
I don't either at this point. I wouldn't mind seeing it, even in the context of a playoff race. But knowing this team and this coaching staff as we do, I don't see.
There's no way in hell that's going to happen with this coaching staff.
No. So the other news of the day was Oliver Shillington's first Instagram post in ages, and he looks to be in pretty damn good shape. And he used a little keep quiet emoji. Or he did, or he reposted or something. But clearly the guy he looks good, looks to be doing better, recovering from something, or, being where he needs to be, or what. And I'm not implying anything because I don't know, right? We've talked about this. What do you does he play another game for the Flames? Is he back in the lineup next season? Is there any chance we see him this season? Because we never got a definitive answer.
There's no way we see him this season.
Right.
No way.
Just crush that speculation, okay?
No way. There's no way we're seeing him this year.
All right. And I agree with you.
Next year, here's one of the things that frustrates me. Next year, we have him signed at 2.5.
Yeah.
We didn't even get to use the 2.5.
I know, we talked about this before, and you were really fired up, and I agree. That should be like an ELC. Like, those years should slide. If you didn't play, that's not the team's fault.
Not and it wasn't because of it's not
the other problem with that is that let's say we re-sign Troy Stetcher because we at Flames Nation love two things: Michael Stone and Troy Stetcher.
Good things to love though.
Yeah. It's like
I know what I would do, and this is probably a summer episode, but here's what I would do: if Shillington's coming back, I still sign Stetcher, and I sign Stone to be my 7th guy.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I trade either Nikita Zadorov or Noah Hannafin because I think I can get a good return for Noah Hannafin.
Mike Gold suggested that Nikita Zadorov could conceivably maybe fetch a 1st-round pick. And I don't think he's too far off base. He's a big dude.
And we go for it.
Yeah. Jesse Pollock, that crazy Jets fan that I don't know why he matters so much, but he was complaining about Zadorov last night, kind of getting his name out there more. Like that's a guy that a lot of teams would covet, right? But the problem or the other issue here is that Oliver Shillington has virtually no trade value now.
No, none.
Absolutely none. He basically he doesn't exist anymore as far as the NHL is concerned. And nor will he until he comes back to Calgary
and proves shows he can be on the team for 12 months. Yeah. Because we don't know what the problem is. We don't know.
No, and we don't
know.
And we don't know anything, right? So now it's like he goes from like Dan Vladar, it's a win-win. You keep him, he's a pretty good goalie. You trade him, you probably get a decent return, as we talked about. Shillington's all you can do is keep him. Because what's somebody going to offer you? A 5th-round, 4th-round pick? Yeah, we'll take him off your hands. We'll give him a shot. Then he's going to go all Yusuf Alamaki and have a huge season.
I know, but that might be the risk. It might be a risk you have to do to get rid of the 2.5. I don't know. It depends on what state he's in. The team's got to know what's going on.
Well, I hope, and I'm going to assume, as much as assuming we all know what that does, he's been in contact with the team prior but prior to jumping back on social media. Like he probably said, they've known for a while. I expect, hey, he's coming out of whatever's going on. He's back in shape or still in shape, whatever the case may be. We'll see in the fall. Put in a big summer. We're going to need you, right?
Yeah. I hope so. I hope so. I mean, I wish him the best, and we could have sure as hell used him this year because our defense even looks better. And I don't think our defense has been a problem lately. I don't. I know. I just make a few stops here.
So, based on what you said earlier, and forgive me because I didn't ask you until just now, but based on what you said, is your belief that the Flames are going to go 2-0-1 these last 3 games?
I feel like we beat San Jose. I feel like we beat Nashville. And I think we get that 1 point against Vancouver.
See? The same as me. That Vancouver game.
A little bit trippy. About that Vancouver game.
Yeah, absolutely. I think if you ask most of Flames fans, that they probably feel the same way.
Now watch what happens if Calgary goes on and pounds Vancouver 6-1.
We drink a beer and celebrate.
I guess we do. I know.
Now I think
I could be drinking beer right now with the medicines I'm on. I might.
Yeah, well,
I'll be here next week.
I'll come on to do the show, and we sadly lost Brad over the weekend. Turns out he was quite ill. God forbid. God forbid. I couldn't do this alone anyway. Now, I think it's safe to say we've also seen the last of Dan Vladar this season.
I would. Well,
unless we see another mishap like the other night.
No, we have not seen the end of Dan Vladar. Is that a prediction you want to hear?
So, does that mean Vancouver's going to beat us 6-1 and Markstrom gets pulled? I'm curious. I think with 3 games left, we can probably both agree that Vladar is done for the year, barring any goaltending shenanigans.
Oh no, Markstrom's going to fight Colin Delia on Saturday night, and he'll get tossed, and then
I forgot that guy's in Vancouver.
Yeah, I don't know. My buddy texts me, and he's a Vancouver Canucks fan. He says, "Yeah, I heard they're starting Colin Delia Saturday night." I'm sure they haven't announced their starter for Saturday night.
Yeah, what the hell?
Like, all right, whatever.
Inquiring minds want to know.
Like, I've never heard of a team with a game tomorrow night. They're going to have fire off who they're starting the following night. I don't think so.
I think. I think that no matter how this goes, this is just hitting me. And cut this out if you disagree. I feel like we need to do a live show at the conclusion of the season.
Well, we can.
I think we should have it on Twitter and just, see what kind of questions thoughts.
Like what time? Like live when we beat San Jose and we have to wait for the rest of the teams, or like live when we lose.
No, that's too much anxiety.
Nashville.
Once we know the result, are we in the playoffs or not? Let's have a proper send off with a couple of beers and.
We might have to. We'll have to do that. We're gonna have to do that.
We've become a lot less formal, dealing with all the stress of this miserable hockey team the last few months.
And then somebody says to me, you always say one of the guys I work with says, you say the Flames are miserable. I looked in the record lately and they've been really good. I'm like, doesn't feel like it.
Yeah, they've been really good. I'm still miserable.
I don't like having to fight to be in the playoffs. God dang it, this team's too talented to not be in.
Oh, yeah, they certainly are.
Oh, man.
But again, the best perspective we can take is we're still playing meaningful hockey when we absolutely do not deserve to be.
We don't. We do not deserve to be.
Brad, we just need some luck, man.
It's like we talked about last week. It's like an abusive relationship, man.
Yeah.
Let's shake it. Let's win 3 in a row and let's get to the playoffs. And God, at least we're watching meaningful hockey. I don't know.
Just enjoy it. It's all you can do and enjoy it. And hey, when it's over, whenever it's over, it's there's always next year. So, but hang in there for now. There's still hope.
Still hope. Still hope.
Yeah.
I never thought we'd be saying still hope right now. So, Kyle, there's still hope.
For now.
Have a good weekend, Flames fans. And
for the long weekend, Flames fans.
Hopefully this goes well. Happy Easter and happy 3 more wins in a row, right, Flames fans?
Absolutely.
Get connected. Flames Unfiltered can be found on Twitter at Flame Unfiltered. Check out the Facebook page at Flames Unfiltered. Host Brad Burud is on Twitter at Brad Burud, and host Kyle Lewis is on Twitter at VanLewis14. Like what you hear? Rate, review, and subscribe on Apple Podcasts. Flames Unfiltered can be found on all the major podcast players. Want to watch the show? You got it. Check out Inside Edge Hockey Media Group for every show. Subscribe while you watch. Thanks for listening, watching, and interacting. Enjoy the hockey action.
We call them playoff! Yeah, baby! Playoff! Yeah, baby!
Thanks for tuning in to Flames Unfiltered. Check back for more action-packed Calgary Flames talk. This episode of Flames Unfiltered was copyrighted and produced by Inside Edge Hockey Media Group.